Good evening, everyone. Thank you for attending. In the attendance and provisions of the Open Public Meeting Act, the Asbury Park Board of Education provided adequate notice of this meeting by sending a notice of the time, date, location, and extent known. The agenda of this meeting to Asbury Park Press and the new poster, April 26, 2003, email. Copies of this notice have been placed at the Administration Buildings and Board, District Schools, Asbury Park Municipal Building, Asbury Park Municipal Park, and filed with the City Clerk on April 26, 2003. The Asbury Park School District will provide all students with comprehensive and progressive education where everyone possesses the skills and character to succeed in a diverse global society. Roll call, please.
Mr. Grillo?
Here.
Mrs. Inslee? Dr. Fenner?
Here.
Mr. Raymond?
Here.
Ms. Ricks?
Here.
Mr. Rogers?
Here.
Mr. Saunders? Ms. Oliver?
Here.
Ms. Cook?
Please rise for the flag salute.
The United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening. We'll begin with our board presentation of the 2024 budget. Stacey.
Thank you. Thanks for coming out, everybody. We're going to do a presentation this evening of the 2024 school year budget. This is done annually at this time of the year to set the stage for next year's academic year. And again, the goals that we set by the superintendent and the board to concentrate on academics, attendance, and accountability. So we want to start. I apologize for the familiarity of some of these slides, but they are still pertinent, so we'll keep them in. We're going to start with where our budget comes from and what are the different buckets that we get funding from. So the first bucket that we get funding from is state aid. So that's aid provided by the state of New Jersey, and that's based on basically our enrollment counts and then some adjustments based on different weight factors that go into our student funding. The next factor is our local levy, and again, that's based on property taxes, property values, and income. And then the third bucket is operational savings and efficiencies. Now, I've made that bucket smaller because over the years, we've been having our aid reduced. So as our aid has been reduced, it's been more and more difficult to recognize and sort of optimize those savings. So over the course of the past several years, unfortunately, the ability of the district to save money has diminished. Wanted to also talk about the adequacy budget. So again, this is something we've talked about numerous times here at the board meeting and in our finance committees with the board members. And this is basically how funding is determined for the Asbury Park School District and all other districts across the state. So the funding formula changed in 2008 and became a model school concept. So what the state did was they picked a model K-5 school, staffed it, put in a fixed number of students, and determined a base pupil amount that it would cost to run that model school. So that amount is $13,181 per student. And then what they do is they add weighting factors in for middle schools and additional weighting factors in for high schools. They also then look at other needs, special education, PLL, other demographic needs, and do weighted averages based on the student population for those factors as well. The basic formula is our adequacy budget less our local tax contribution equals our equalization aid, or basically our state aid. For 2024, the state has told us, based on our enrollment and our expected enrollment for next year, that the district should be operating on a budget of $41,482,905. Again, back to that second bucket, the state then looks at the city of Asbury Park. They look at the property values, they look at the city income, and they come up again with a weighted number to say what they think the city of Asbury Park, the community, the residents should be contributing in terms of taxes. And that number, as you can see, is $26,731,305. That then determines for the state their contribution, which is just the subtraction, which in this case is another $14 million of state aid. Again, local taxes are based on a combination of property values and district income. Would also note that the formula back in 2008 talked about hold harmless aid. So that was aid back in 2008 that was granted to districts, saying that when this bill passed, the state would not drop school districts off the cliff with changes in their aid. So they said at that time they would maintain state aid no less than the amount that was being given out at that point in time. So for us, that was about $24.5 million. In 2018, the legislature again looked at school funding, and they passed the S2 bill. The S2 bill looked at districts, looked at the state's funding formula, looked at results, academic results in districts, and said that funding is not necessarily the answer. So the bill was passed, and what they said was, we're going to now look at your aid, we're going to determine that adequacy number, which we said was $14 million in the previous slide there. We're going to look at what we're paying you right now in state aid, and we're going to begin to claw back those funds over time to get you back to what we think the appropriate amount should be. So in 2020, they looked at our aid in 2019. They determined how much they thought we were over-aided. In other words, how much did they give us versus how much the formula said they should give us, and they clawed back 13%. In 2022, they looked back at 2021, and as you can see, by 2025, they expect us to be operating based on state aid that is calculated based on the formula. Graphically, and it's a little busy with the numbers, but if we look at 2021, which is sort of in the center there, 2021 right there, so you can see the state aid at that year was $44,571,000. The state had determined in the prior year that our aid should have been $23 million. So you're looking at basically $20 million there in aid that they determined us to be over aid. And that's then where they went back to those percentages and said, we're going to take X percent of that $20 million back in subsequent years' funding. So each year, they're taking back a portion of funding that they feel are over aid. This is just the history of our aid and what we lost over time. From 2018, again here, with the initial implementation of the S2 bill, through 2024, the district has been cut just about $29 million. So we've made $29 million in cuts over the course of, what's that, roughly 6 years, 7 years? And again, we expect a significant cut next year. You can see 2025, we're looking at approximately $7 million in an additional cut in state aid to the district. Now that number is higher than we've previously seen because there was a change in the funding this year with supplemental stabilization. And again, graphically, you can see 2013 through about 2018, the aid was flat, and then we started the implementation of the S2 bill, and the red is obviously a trend line showing the decrease in aid being provided to the district. Again, if we look at our actual budget versus what that adequacy budget says, and again, the adequacy budget is what the state says we should be operating on according to the formula. You can see this year, or actually for next year, for 2024, we're going to receive $26.3 million. What they said is we should be receiving only 21.8. They're projecting this is our taxes of 26 and the actual of 21. And the state aid, they're saying should be 14, and in actuality it's 26. So again, 26 is the projected property tax that they think we should be charging. We're charging 21 for the school portion. And again, they're saying they should be contributing 14.7. In actuality, they're contributing this coming year 26. And when we talk about taxes and the general tax rate for the city, it's made up basically of three components. The blue represents the school tax portion of the general tax. The orange is the municipal tax of the general tax, and the gray is the county portion. So on average, for Monmouth County, 55% of municipalities' general tax is based on the school budget, 31% of the general tax overall is municipal, and 14% is going to the county. We look at Asbury Park here. School tax represents about 39% of the overall tax of the city. Municipality is about 45%, and the county is getting 15%. You can see again here, with some of our neighboring districts, Keens 31 for the school and 59 for the municipal. Long Branch 46 for the schools and 40 for the municipal. And Neptune is 51% for the school tax and 37% for the municipal. We also put in some other added districts or former added districts, so you get an idea of what it looks like across the state, and you can see it varies quite a bit. Again, graphically, the state projection in blue of what the local tax should be, and the orange is what the actual amount is. And you can see the board, the district has been trying to close that gap over time, and not taking any one particular year as a big hit, but we are starting to approach the number that the state says that we should be collecting from the local taxpayers. For 2024, we made a couple adjustments to our budget. These are the main factors that went into putting the budget together. Again, we talked about Senate Bill S-3732. That was the bill I mentioned earlier that adjusted the loss of state aid for 2024. We were looking at, once the initial numbers came out, of a loss of about $8.5 million for 2024. Districts across the state, 100 plus districts, were in a similar position where they were losing funds based on the formula. Senator Joe Powell proposed a bill with some additional sponsors. The legislature worked on that over the past month and restored 66% of that loss back to districts. So it netted, we were going to lose 8.5. We passed the tentative budget based on that 8.5, and then they passed the bill. They restored 66%. We applied for that supplemental stabilization aid, and our loss was basically 2.9. But again, this is where the question comes in with the S2 bill that we talked about earlier as well. So the S2 bill next in 2025 is supposed to expire, and we're supposed to be back to the adequacy budget. So the question is, we got $5.6 million back for 2024, but what does that set us up for 2025? If you remember, we said we were estimating $7.5 million as a loss for 2025. That's based on recovering this loss back, and then the additional loss of about $2 million for 2025. We're also taking a withdrawal from our maintenance reserve of $250,000 to support some facility improvements. We're using a healthcare waiver that the state allows us to take to offset increases in healthcare premiums. I think as you all have seen over the past years, healthcare costs have increased dramatically. We've been looking at 15% increases in the state program. We've also looked at options for the district to move out of the state program, but unfortunately our experience in the program does not make us, at this point in time, an attractive client for other carriers. The district has also looked at our grant funding, our ESSER funding, and other options, other grants that we get, and how best to utilize those. So initially, a lot of the ESSER funding was going into building renovations at all the buildings across the district. But in looking at those projects, prioritizing those projects, and reevaluating where we were, we diverted $5.3 million to support 57 jobs in the district. When you talk about CRISA, which we sort of call ESSER 2, and then the ARP, which is ESSER 3 for us, we look at projects that are in place and awarded right now, and we have a $6.1 million project utilizing our Phase 1 program, and a $5.2 million project underway for our ESSER 2 and 3 funds. These are some of the improvements that are taking place across the district. Again, if you look at the high school, we're upgrading the HVAC system in the CTPA College wing to provide both improved heat and air conditioning. We're replacing a number of rooftop units, RTUs they're called, air circulators, for both the gyms, the small gym and the large gym, and the locker rooms underneath. And we're also doing a wireless endpoint upgrade to the building. At Martin Luther King, we're installing new unit vents. Those are the units in each classroom that provide heat, and we're converting those so they'll provide both heat and air conditioning across the entire building to all classrooms. We've installed new high-efficiency boilers there to replace outdated equipment. We're replacing 3, again, RTUs, or rooftop units, air circulators, on the roof that are going to service the nurses area, the guidance department, the media center, the gym, and the cafeteria. And again, that's replacing older equipment that's beginning to break down more frequently. It's harder to get parts for those. And again, a wireless upgrade. At the Bradley School, replacing all, again, classroom HVAC units to provide both heating and cooling. We're replacing rooftop units servicing interior office space and interior classrooms. And again, a wireless upgrade. And at our Bergen Marshall Elementary School, we're replacing 8 rooftop units that are servicing areas across the building. We've done some work in the cafeteria with insulation, and again, wireless upgrade. The additional project that's not listed here, which was sort of our Phase 3, was improving the media centers and the auditorium at the Martin Luther King School and the high school. Those projects are being evaluated. We are going to make improvements to those rooms. They just may not be as extensive as we originally planned. And again, part of that is the decision to move some of those funds to support staff. So the budget for 2024, what does it look like? So our operating budget, or the budget we sort of use day to day, is $59 million. Grants and entitlements which come into the district are $16 million. We have no debt on the books, so there's no debt portion for the budget. So our total budget for 2024 is estimated at $75,355,858. When you look at that $59 million operating budget and want to know where the funds go, 42% are going to salary, 15% are going to benefits and insurance. So that's about 57%. Typically, districts are 60 to 65% salary and benefits. But again, our $59 million does not reflect those 50-some positions that we moved into grant funding. So that's why that percentage is a little lower than it's been in the past. Our charter tuition, which represents about 713 students for next year, is the estimate, represents 21% of our budget. So our budget is $59 million, and we're sending out just over $12 million in charter tuition. Our out-of-district tuition and transportation costs are 11% of our $59 million. Folks often question utilities and how much utilities cost us, and you can see it's a rather small percentage. And the district added solar panels over the past 2 years. It's all the buildings in the district. So our utilities are about 2%. And that leaves 9% for all other activities within the district. So if you're looking at 9% of $59 million, that's about $5 million, I guess, 4.9 or so for all other activities within the district. When we talk about the tax impact, what the tax increase is going to do to the local community, to the local taxpayers. We have an assessment here comparing 23 to 24. We're basing the assessment on a more recent number for 2024, which is $2.6 billion. You can see based on some various levels there, 300, 400, 500,000, up to 700,000. But if we look here at the average assessment of a home in Asbury Park at $524,000, we're looking at the school portion of taxes last year it being about $3,240. With this increase proposed for 2024, you're looking at $3,686 as again the school portion of your overall tax, or an increase of about $445, and that equates to about $1.22 per day. With that, I'd be happy to take any questions the board may have.
I have one question. Under number 5, under other, could you help me understand like what type of things would be considered under other? No matter how big or small.
That would be our instructional programs, that would be field trips, that would be consumables, that would be anything that we would actually provide to our students. That would be replacing Chromebooks, that would be instructional resources so that other than 9% would be crayons, pencils.
Okay, with that being said, that's important because that's only 9%. So you're telling me that the budget that we're working with, when it comes to the student body, you know, as far as like their resources is, I don't know who else is it. When it comes to their resources and materials, we're only working with 9% of the budget.
I believe last year, earlier this year, when we did the presentation, we talked about 8% at one point last year. And so that 1% is an increase reflected in the increase of the funds that we've been able to secure with the increase of the local portion. We also need to look at the previous slides. When you look at the past several years, we should have been receiving approximately $24 million from the city annually. However, we have not been receiving that, which results in the reduction of staff. I think Mr. Hastings had it in there where we utilized ESSER funds to save 57 positions last year from being cut. Because again, you go back about 3 slides, Mr. Hastings, to the bar graph, with the blue graph being what we should have been receiving, and the orange graph what we were receiving. When you look at those numbers across the board, we have been drastically underfunded by our local fair share. And that results in, again, loss of services, loss of staff, continually annually. The other issue is we have had a dwindling student population. And that dwindling student population does impact when we look at the $12 million, give or take, that we send out to the charter school, along with the other funds for out-of-district placement and transportation. So when we look at what we're actually receiving, and to go back to your question specifically, yes, we are educating students here on about $5 billion.
Okay, thank you. I just want to ask one more question in regards to the document.
Could I just clarify, this year, 2023, the district is supporting 53 jobs with grant funding that's now expiring in September. The funding we got back based on the legislation change on our laws supports another 57 positions. So we've got about 50 plus positions being supported through grant funding right now.
Thank you. So my question is just knowledge-based. I'm just trying to get an understanding of what I'm being told and what I'm reading. So outside of the, the budget that we are not receiving, that you said you received, how else do we go about, you know, improving that 9%?
Well, I think, when I think about that, I go back to, thinking about what the narrative is about Asbury Park and what we're able to provide. When families are coming into Asbury Park, and the narrative is, this is not a place you're going to bring your children, which contradicts the work that we see as you all walk into this building today. The dedication, but the misinformation that continues to send families to seek other options. I think we offer the best product in the city. I think we have the best staff that are dedicated to the services and the students, given the extreme financial crisis that we find ourselves in. So contrary to what is put in the press and other things about staff not being important here, when you look at our financial allocation, utilizing, repairing our buildings to save 53 additional staff is an indication of what the priority is. The teaching and learning here is the utmost important in order to break generational poverty, give students in this community the opportunity to access life skills and life opportunities outside of a high school diploma. And so when we look at providing students in this community with a thorough and efficient education with about $4.9 million, but yet coupled with the narrative that we're doing a horrible job, people will not want to bring their children to Asbury Park to get educated by those who are doing the best job compared to their charter school counterparts. So the narrative that is reflected are tough calls, given that we are in a financial crunch. And I wouldn't even say it's a crunch, we are in a financial crisis, given this bar graph showing that we have been underfunding the people that we say we care the most about. We have been under-preparing and providing lack of resources for the individuals that we say are our next wave of citizens to continue this upward mobility in Asbury Park. So it's not me looking at that and making this bar graph from 2017, or even looking at 2016, or even looking at 2015. Those are incremental amounts of money that could access almost $70 million between 2015 up until present. Imagine what we could have done had we been adequately funded over the course from 2015 up until today. We wouldn't have to fund 53 positions through grant funds. We wouldn't have to lay off staff. We would have the resources to provide the same thing that other communities are able to provide with adequate funding. And when you look at the percentage, Mr. Hasty, we go back to the percentage of other fair share, the other local municipalities and grant. When you look at Asbury Park being funded at 39% of the levy for the tax rate going to schools, it's an abomination. And it's not just this 1 year. It's not just 2 years. It's not just 10 years. It's not 20 years. This has been the history of the underfunding of this community. And at some point it has to stop. And at some point, the square continues to get smaller and smaller in terms of the students and the community here that are being funded We are properly funded. We have pilots, we have other incentives, we have a vitalizing downtown area, but 39% of those rates go into fund this next generation of students when it's been, I would like to say, maybe 30, 40 years of underfunding this community and the education in this community. And if you look at our comparative local school counterparts, Long Branch and Neptune, they have the most updated facilities, fields, buildings, resources, and we're patchworking our buildings.
Thank you. Thank you.
We're looking at a strap-over budget, and I understand that, and some of the things that Dr. Adams said probably are possibly going to come through. We have to also look at, we have in our district, in some of these areas that haven't been able to sustain themselves. So, Jeff, can you tell us, with the graph shows that with these other state money coming in, we're approximately 2.9 million short in taxes, in revenue that we need to raise, and versus that, how much are we raising above that?
Well, you're talking about losses now, so you're talking about degrees of loss, right? So we would have lost $8.5 million, and the tax increase based on that loss of $8.5 million, and again, trying to bring the district over time up to the contribution the city says it should be at, has been step by step. Our loss was reduced, so now we're losing about $3 million. But the budget does not reflect a reduction in the $6 billion that we're putting forward in taxes. Take a reduction of $6 million from that $6 million before, the other number would then mean additional cuts somewhere else in the budget. So right now, the budget for 24 is balanced with that $6 million. If the board or other folks would like to see that reduced, then we have to make adjustments elsewhere.
So what I'm saying is the fact that without reducing anything, what are we talking about over with the state aid or traditional supplemental that we're getting? How much over are we, the tax levy that we're increasing? How much of it goes into that amount that we have to raise the tax? The bottom line that we have to we weren't to raise taxes. If we weren't to raise taxes, what would our
Well, your loss is going to be based on whatever you decide to reduce the tax levy by.
No, I'm saying, but how much are we short to meet that budget to sustain that you're looking to sustain? Would there be money that's left over for next year to supplement?
So as you sort of said in the very first slide, the three buckets, the one bucket is smaller. You know, back in 2015, 2016, 2017, when the state aid was a much higher number, the district was operating and was able to save money. Those savings over each of those years was used to offset the cuts coming forward each year. So we were able to save $3 million, $2 million, $5 million, whatever the number is, out of the current year budget. And next year, the city cut our aid by $8 million, $7 million, $6 million. We're netting that difference. Unfortunately, right now, we've been cutting and cutting and cutting, and it's getting to the point where else do you go to cut? Right? So we're not able to generate through our operating budget during the course of the year that degree of savings that we were in the past. So we no longer sort of have that flexibility of saying we're going to maintain all staff, we're going to maintain all the programs, and we're not going to raise taxes by any significant amount. The formula the state has put forward and that all districts are adhering to across the state is putting that pressure on the districts to sort of flip the ratio. So when you talk about other districts in the past, 75-80% by the state and 25-20% by the community. The state has looked at that over time and decided that they think that that ratio should be more in line with sort of the opposite. So that 80% is funded locally, and only 20% is funded to the state. So that's the pressure that's been put on districts, particularly African districts, to make this transition where local taxes are being impacted greatly on the change.
And right now, we do have options. I think we need to sit down with the city, discuss some options. I think we need to talk to the state, look at some of the forms of special education with that state formula for special education. If we actually go over a threshold, maybe you can elaborate that. I think our threshold is like 317 special education, what we get. If we were at that number, we would get 19,000 per student. But since we go over it, we have like 350, basically our state aid special education by 2,000 per student. And these are things that we have to look at and also talk to the state about, because these are the areas that are very much needed in this district. But we need to come together, because we have some people who are fixed incomes in this district that, especially on the west side, that will be losing their homes for these drastic impacts. So we have a lot to look at in this budget and discuss.
Yes, I believe the superintendent, the business office as well, has had some conversations, as well as the board with the city, and we would welcome, a continuation of that.
When was the last time that we met with the city?
I couldn't tell you off the top of my head how it's been a couple months. I think some board members have had conversations with the city yourself and some other board members more recently.
No, I've never been, I haven't been in a formal meeting with this.
Well, conversations with the city, not
Yeah.
formal
Right.
board meetings.
I mean, I think one of the things is that we're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place that's on fire. And again, I think we need to have regular meetings with the city in good faith to talk about how we can make ends meet, because it shouldn't be all on the city, it shouldn't be all on us, And there's this back and forth where, some folks in the city say, well, you've got property that you can sell. And then there's folks on our end that are saying, well, you've got pile of money that we can use. And I think unless we have regular dialogue with the city manager, Mayor Moore, with Deputy Mayor Quinn, and our folks, we're never going to establish a relationship and a working dialogue with them. So meeting once a few months back, and then that's it, I don't think is in the spirit of what, and I'm not speaking, I don't know if I'm speaking for the whole board, but I think that some of my colleagues would agree that that's not enough in terms of building that relationship and figuring out creative ways to remediate and resolve this kind of impact. But at the end of the day, what's the rock and the hard place thing is that these tax increases that, if you look, it says, it's $500 a year for this year. But the year before, it was $500 and $600, whatever it was. The year before that, it was a certain amount. It's going to exacerbate what's already happening in Asbury Park, which is continued gentrification and pushing out families that, like Mr. Rogers said, that barely afford to live in Asbury Park. So that first generation of homeowners that have been here, that have maybe rented for a long time, and now finally they may have bought a house during a recession, and they're there. Now, they're going to get pushed out. And we're going to have it's already started to look at the census, but you're going to have a very different looking Asbury Park with less kids going to our schools than 5 years ago. So, I don't know, it's a really tough situation, but I would recommend that we do whatever we can. We had actually asked the chair of the finance committee to reach out to the city, and I don't think that ever happened. So we need to, if we say we're going to do something, we should do it. increase that dialogue with the city.
Also, one other thing, and maybe Cheryl Marks can answer this, is there any drop dead, what's the drop dead date? Because I would love for us to go in as a board and talk with the city and have these discussions, if not again, it seems to be again, but to clarify our position as to what we want to do with this city, with this district, and what our vision is. And right now, we do have, I believe, the best institution, and I want to think the best institution in the state, right here in Asbury Park. But we know we have some shortfalls. Is there ways of extending, getting emergency extensions? Is there any way for us to talk to the commission?
Not for this budget. This is the last night in the state calendar for a budget presentation to be permitted. Obviously, the tax that go out have to be done at certain periods of time. And as far as this budget is concerned, and the presentation we have here, no. Now, meeting with the city, I think, is an excellent idea. And it certainly should start for future budgets, because as Mr. Hastings has said, this isn't going to change looking down the line, and you've mentioned that as well. In fact, when Dominic was on the board, he stressed constantly, the fact that at least a 5-year plan or some kind of plan, some explanation down the line was certainly needed to prepare so that we're not in this crunch every year. But as far as this budget is concerned, I would say no, that it's too late to do that. But your suggestions are certainly very worthwhile and have to be looked at. Let me just comment that for everybody that is hearing the budget for the first time, I think maybe an easier way that you can understand the Asbury Park budget is to think of it as that movie, The Perfect Storm, because every aspect of the budget that's critically important to a district in Asbury has been negatively affected by something. And let me just mention what that is. Your enrollment, which determines a part of your aid, continues to go down when you really should have, hopefully, you're seeing it come up. Asbury's has gone down. A second factor is the S2 bill, which came in and said over 5 years, Asbury Park is going to lose close to $30 million. And that was a bill that was passed in Trenton and is into the fourth year of that bill. So that's a negative for Asbury. A third factor is the fact that you have now, think of it in this way, there was a time when you only had one charter school, you now have 3, and you are sending to that charter school over $12 million of what would normally be available here in this budget. Now, it's nice to say, well, if the kids aren't coming here, then that money isn't needed here. It doesn't work that way. The electric bill is still going to be the same, whether you have 500 kids in this building or you have 800, the electric bill will be the same. The heating bill is going to be the same. So when you lose enrollment, you don't automatically see a savings along with that loss. And then the fourth component that hits the district bad is that this new formula in Trenton right now that we are working under is clearly attacking the issue of fair share. And as long as they see, I'm talking legislators now, or government officials, as long as Trenton sees that it's underfunded in the local tax rate, they're not going to be too anxious to pass a bill that's going to send more money. So it is very, very critical right now. Everything that could possibly go wrong for Asbury budget-wise has gone wrong. And that's the difficulty with it. When Mr. Hastings talks about maintaining jobs, the ESSER funds, we use these words, and I know people in the audience don't know this, because I wouldn't know them either if I didn't work with them every day. ESSER fund bills were bills that they passed in Washington, D.C. To help during COVID. But those bills that were passed and money that was sent to the states under these ESSER, so-called ESSER bills, they're running out. So anything that was used from those within the next 2 years is going to be gone unless the legislators, Congress people in Washington, D.C. decide to reissue more money. And I don't know about you, but I have any faith in that happening in Washington. So in order to even keep that, there has to be ways of coming up with the money when that's lost. So it's a very bleak, you're absolutely correct. It's a very bleak outlook as far as the future is concerned, and anything that can be done certainly to improve it. You know, I've talked to the mayor, I know he's very supportive of doing what can be done. It's just a question of where they're going to get the money from.
I just want to say a couple of other things. First of all, I agree with Ms. Moore's the way she explained it. And yeah, look, I mean, this wouldn't be the first time that, I personally think that we need to advocate to Trent and write a strongly worded letter, however, you know, waste of ink that may be, but at least put it on record that like, we need full funding. And send it to the office of the governor and send it to the DOE. And this wouldn't be the first time that Asbury Park has done this. I mean, if you go back to the 90s, and you mentioned Mayor Moore, he was on the board when they did this. They did that, and they appealed to Governor Florio at the time that we need full funding because of all the different things that Dr. Adams said are generational in Asbury Park. I mean, I'd like to see the board, you know, the guidance of Madam President, to do something like that and to have a public statement to the state, just like other school districts have done, like Toms River and Jersey City, and join with them in saying that we gotta go get our money. we need that full funding. And then we can also have talks with the city about, you know, pilot money and all this other stuff, and have conversations about that. But at the end of the day, that stating has to come back, because this is not sustainable in any way. There's no way that we can continue taxing residents to this effect, and thereby pushing more taxpaying families out of Asbury Park, decreasing enrollment, and digging ourselves into a bigger pit. It's just, it doesn't seem sustainable.
I think the one thing too, is why I would agree with you, is because your educational program suffers tremendously when you have this kind of a situation. I think Mr. Hastings did reported over 700 kids in charter schools, and I'm not against charter schools, please understand me, but everybody doesn't understand that's an impact. Think of 700 kids leaving this district. That's 700. Yep, 100 could be in the band, another 100 could be in a sports team, another 100. These are all they could be in advanced placement courses in the high school. You know, instead of dropping the French class because you don't have an enrollment, it supplies the number for an enrollment in a language. So it does impact. I wouldn't want anybody to think we're just talking money here. We're talking kids. It does impact the opportunities that you can give kids when you don't have the money to fund it, or the kids to support it.
Ms. Morrison, can you speak? the numbers of children who are going on to charter schools. As a district, what was the missing component that led them? Because if your school district has the necessary resources and things that, I'm just saying, you know, just, what caused them to just leave? Because it couldn't have just been, oh, it's a new school.
No, but I'll just answer you and then I'll let Dr.
And I'm asking this question, is like, how do we get them that?
Well, there's a procedure in the state for anyone to apply to open a charter school, and if they meet the requirements of the state and have the appropriate facility, and they're approved by the state, they can open a charter school. But to specifically answer your question,
I think in all actuality, we have to be very real and very honest about what we have performed on our state assessments, right? And I don't believe for a second as an educator that assessment results dictate a person's ability. But that is the metrics in which the state uses to guide a successful district from a struggling district. Most recently, I believe there was a report of the 30 most underperforming schools. I previously looked at that list and was, with bated breath, happy that no Asbury Park school was on that list. However, when we look at, again, the narrative about what is important, we cannot tout a product where we are achieving single-digit assessment results on the NJSLA, and that didn't start just last year. And so when you think about the last 5 years or the last 10 years, and I want to give you perspective because all of that matters. When you think about the thing that put Asbury Park on the spotlight was the comment by former governor about us being the poster child for fiscal waste. But that fiscal waste was coupled with underperforming academics. And so despite some of the accomplishments that we have been able to achieve, despite the hard work that goes on every day, the narrative is we are producing a less than stellar product that you may get better elsewhere. And that's a false narrative, but the narrative nonetheless.
So how do we improve that narrative?
Well, I think looking at the 3 things that we focus on, academics, attendance, and accountability. I think as we hold ourselves and looking at improving our outcomes from a growth perspective, not focusing on interventions to improve the core instructional practices, to look at our foundational skills in reading and mathematics, number sense, and all of those areas, not just talking theoretically, but looking at what is taking place every day in the class from an instructional standpoint, the ability to provide those resources, whether it's a chemistry class or having those staff members who are adequately trained in terms of professional development. All of that is coupled in that 9% that is used towards improving that perspective in terms of what we're doing.
Can I also just add to that the only silver bullet that I can see, and I could be completely wrong, but the only silver bullet that I can see in terms of state aid increasing and eventually paying taxes stabilizing or going down is increased enrollment in our schools. Am I correct with that? Like, that's it. That's the people want to know a silver bullet.
That is a, I would say that would be a great addition, right? But coupled with increasing the enrollment would be increasing and improving our product. It would be incrementally growing and showing and producing a product that is indicative of the hard work. No one is going to take a chance on something that they perceive as to being an inferior product, regardless if it's being given out wholesale. And so we have the duty and the responsibility to tout our hard work, to look at and make the tough choices, but to be real about the work that we're doing and the work that we still need to do in order to match what our effort is with the end result.
And also, just in perspective, the charter schools have a multi-million-dollar PR budget. Like, if you look at what charter schools have, because they're private, and by the way, that third charter school that came in just under former Governor Christie's term. It's slid right in there. But they have multi-million-dollar PR machines. They've got the blog that they fund to the tune of $133,000 a year. They've got all this other stuff to do that. We don't have much. So a lot of it is like person to person. The reason why my daughter, who went to Deal School from kindergarten to 8th grade, we chose as a family that in September she's going to go to Asbury Park High School. It's because we met with principal, the educators, teachers, special ed folks, Dr. Adams, everybody. And we were so impressed by the welcoming community of the high school and how they're like, yes, we want your child here. We want active parents to be involved in the high school and all that. That's the PR that we've got. The only thing that we can do as parents is to spread that gospel to all the other folks that, just like I did, send their kids to other districts. No judgment whatsoever, but to say, hey, you're paying this much in taxes, might as well, send your kid here and see how it goes. And it requires a lot of work, it requires a lot of communication with the educators, but that's our PR, it's us right here. So, I don't know. I mean, it's a tough battle to fight a multi-million-dollar PR machine.
And I'd also just clarify a previous comment. Really, you sat in finance committee with me and other board members this year with this board, on previous boards. I've spoken and been involved with administrators as of you across several budgets now. And I don't think anybody has ever said just raise taxes. I think anybody looks gleefully at taxes and says, yeah, just raise taxes. So that is not the approach that we take.
No, I mean, we're forced to do this. Like, we're forced to have to make these sometimes ridiculous choices because of an idea of so-called fair funding from a decade ago that decided not to get implemented until 2018 and give us zero runway to make this happen. So it's like, yeah, there's a lot of, this isn't about blame. It's like, we're sitting here going, like, these are stupid, ridiculous choices that we're forced to make because of the sins of whoever way back when.
It just doesn't really make sense to me in a sense, like, keep raising taxes. You're saying you're losing your students, you're losing children to charter schools, but you're losing the children because the families can afford to live here too. City makes so much money. We all see it. We see it on the daily. Why can't you help? It's your children too. Why couldn't you help your children in your district? You're making all this money. It just doesn't make sense to me. I feel as though you said it's too late for us to present it to them. I don't think it's too late. It's never too late. Like the way it's going right now, I don't like it. And everyone sees it though, like we all see it, we feel it, we know it. There should be more that we should be doing. Like Joe said, we need to be having meetings more than just once a month. It has to be consistent or we're gonna lose this district. This might be the next couple of years and we're done. There's gonna be a whole new filter of faces in here, a whole new filter of children in here. You know what I mean? Like, it's gonna be a whole new Asbury Park if we don't change this. That's just my whole thing. It all doesn't make sense to me. We never did. But yeah, that's my 2 cents. So I don't think it's too late on that. I don't know what the temperature was last time we spoke to the city, and I would like to know, and how soon can we speak to the city to start this conversation? Oh, I done dropped the mic on you? All right.
Thank you. Before we open up public participation, I'll speak with the board.
Hi. So each question that I ask tonight led directly to the comment that I wanted to make. Each and every person in this room and who are not here has a responsibility and is held accountable in some aspect to how this district is ran. When I came on board, I must say I had to be naive to believe I was really coming here to help the kids. Because I was really gung-ho that, oh, we're gonna help these kids and we're gonna do all these great things. But recently I read an article from 1996. And that article read as if it was written today. This same speech about decline in funding, the same speech about the lack of accountability. I don't think it's a matter of whose fault, because a lot of faces are new faces, some faces are old faces. It's a systemic issue. And we're all being held accountable. I've noticed a lot of meetings since I've been here a year and 5 months. And in this year and 5 months, I continuously hear the same talk. My job. I can't say anything because I'm going to be, somehow punished. But it doesn't make sense to me because you still come, and you only come when it's in regard to your job. I have yet to see a teacher, an educator, an administrator stand in front of us and make an argument or a legitimate fight about the lack of resources, about the lack of whatever it is that the students are not receiving. I have yet to see a fight in regard to the betterment of the student body in this district. I'm talking a legitimate fight to make sure that they get every single thing they need. And even with educators, that you receive everything you need to make sure that they're getting what they need. It's not easy to sit up here and make decisions on, people's livelihoods and budgets and say, you know, we're not the end all. Let's just make that clear. Your state is the end all. We're trying to be the buffer, but we don't even know what we're buffing anymore. So when you stand up here and you only come because you feel like your livelihood is being threatened, give us something to fight for. We want to know that, well, yeah, we can't lose her because we can't lose him because they're detrimental to the education process. Show more interest in your students. You play a big part in this crime. Thank you.
I would also say, just that, you know, if we're gonna go to Trenton and get our money back, we're gonna need, it's an all hands on deck effort. It can't just be the administrators, it can't just be little old me or whoever, you know, over at the legislator's office. It can't just be the teachers, it's gotta be everybody. And we really need to have a concerted effort to go to Trenton on lobby day or whatever it is. Just like they did, I always bring the example when Red Bank School District, which said that they 90% of their taxes were schools, right? And they needed relief and all this stuff. It was parents, it was teachers, it was administrators, it was board members, all there with their red shirts, and they marched on at the State House. You know, that's what they did. And the only way we could do this, and I can't stand it when it's just, you know, words saying we gotta come together and all that stuff. We've heard it for decades. We actually have to organize as a united front. Forget about all our little, you know, things that we may not agree on, because this isn't about agreement, it's about alignment. And go to Trenton and actually force the hand of the legislators. Look, Bingo Powell got us almost $6 billion, right, back this year. What about everybody else? All the other legislators that are there, the assembly. We need to go when it's lobby day together in black and blue shirts and demand our money. It's that simple. If they don't see us, if you don't show, if they don't know. So we've got to go there and do that together as a united front. Forget about all the stupid arguments that we have and the egos and everything, and do it together as one united front. Period. That's the only way we're going to get our money back, and we need our money back.
Before we open up public participation, Madam Secretary.
In accordance with Board Policy 0167, the Asbury Park Board of Education recognizes the value of public comment on educational issues and other matters of importance, and provides members of the public with the opportunity to express themselves on school matters of community interest. The public comment portion of the meeting is not a question and answer session, and all public comments shall be directed to the board president. Members of the public who wish to make public comments must be recognized by the board president and provide his or her name, municipality of residence, and group affiliation if applicable. All public comments shall be directed to the board president and are limited to 3 minutes in duration. Members of the public who do not follow the following rules and/or interfere with the orderly operation of the board meeting may be removed from the meeting.
Before we open, I'm sure someone has a lot to say. Just please keep that to 3 minutes so everyone can be heard. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Sean Hamilton. I reside at 84 Creek Road in Keensburg, New Jersey. I've been a classroom teacher for 24 years. Ms. Asbury, I agree with you 100%. So I'm here to speak about some employees that we all need to address. I'm up here again, sadly, but I'm dumbfounded but not surprised that we have the same agenda being shoved down our throats again. Once again, we see critical positions being abolished while central office administration remains untouched. This happened under Mr. Recollet, administration grew, staff got cut. This happened under Ms. Gray, administration grew, staff got cut. Now under Mr. Adams, administration grows, staff gets cut. So we have a common a common play with people on repeat. As of 10 hours ago, there were 201 mass shootings and 18 school shootings that have resulted in injury or death. And still I see the security director on the chopping block. Let's talk about qualified people. A retired police officer, police academy trainer, and we get rid of him to save a couple of bucks, even though our security department has been dwindled down to nearly nothing. Apparently, the maintenance director and principals will oversee the security. If I'm wrong, someone correct me on that. What do we do? Wait for the school shooting to happen here and then say, oh, sorry, we decided to cut some money from the budget. I don't think the Board of Education can handle lawsuits after that. That's a foolish decision. Let's talk about Cassandra Marshall, social worker at Martin Luther King Upper Elementary. Nearly 60% of 12 to 18-year-olds say they face depression every day. 20% have contemplated suicide. And here we are cutting a social worker, cutting a case manager, someone who deals directly with children. Nobody in the central office, I don't think they can name 10 kids in the school district. Yet these kids have come to us every day. And again, I've never stood up here in 24 years to defend my own job. I let my work speak for me. I'm up here defending the people that I work with. So let's all make that clear. Cassandra Marshall is a vital employee to this district. Let's talk about our media specialist. Literacy is the backbone of education. We have enough administrators to tell you that, whether it's math or language arts, literacy, literacy, literacy. We saw on our slide that they're putting money to update the media center. For what? You're getting rid of the two positions that are left. So don't play this game like we're here for the children, but we're taking away the vital stuff. We have plenty of central office administration that we can definitely tighten the belt on and save the money there. When we abolished Dr. Howard's position, that leaves us, what, 3 athletic directors? Mr. Javino's been athletic director, trained. Dr. Howard's been athletic director, and we have a new guy. Yet, I'm sure the new guy's on the reassignment list to be hired next year. Let's think about this. Also on the list, I want to talk about Kara Conner. She's a guidance counselor here in Bradford. And I don't want to air her business, but she has MS. And she's getting her equal help tonight because of the lateness. Has anyone gone behind the building here? We have 2 handicap spots in front. There's one in the back, and it's been covered with a trailer since October 21st. I don't know why the city didn't ticket and kill that trailer. But she's getting her equal help, so we show up every day. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to go over my time. I wish you could give 5 minutes. I have plenty more to say. Thank you for your time, everybody.
My name is Delia Kimball. I live in Asbury Park, and I want to know who's the president. Am I to direct my questions or anything to you or the person in charge? Oh, speak to my sorry, okay. I just read this agenda, and it said this is not a question and answer period. Well, my thing is, I come here because I have a granddaughter in this system who everybody in my household tried to fight against. But she's in this system. So if I have a problem with something going on, I can't come here and ask about my granddaughter. Where do I go?
It'll be the chain of command.
I'm sorry?
The chain of command.
So you, okay, so I start where?
With the principal.
Okay. And just because almost every time I come here, these like withholding things and these terminations, just out of curiosity, because I heard somebody talk about people coming here for their jobs. Isn't it like the superintendent's recommendation that the board goes along with? Or did you personally like see these people and say, you know, this needs to be done? She did? I'm sorry.
No, you said you got recommended to her.
Right, I'm speaking to whoever decides to do it. The people, and I'm not talking about personnel, like I'm not trying to call anybody's name because I don't know anybody who's personally like on here for being terminated. I don't know there's a number on here, I don't know that person. But if you did not see that this person needed to be terminated, did you take a recommendation from Dr. Adams? That's why it's on this agenda? That's why you're going to approve it? Question?
No, he makes the recommendations and the board have to approve or deny.
Right, okay. But the recommendation comes from Dr. Adams. Because me personally, I consider Dr. Adams the head of this ship. All you people, you're basically going on Dr. Adams' recommendation. And Dr. Adams, it's me again. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to speak to you. So some of the statements that were made about the cumulative money that Asbury Park is losing, and they are, but like I said, I have a granddaughter in the system. I have a granddaughter in another school system that's very close by. My thing is, both of my granddaughters, and they are going to be women. I want them to.
Sorry to cut you off, man.
Oh, that's women too? Yeah, y'all have to do that. Okay. Wait, can I come back? No.
We have another public session after this, right? No, just this one, okay.
Felicia Simmons has been a part president of, Felicia Simmons, Asbury Park president of West Side Community Center, president of Montevideo County National Action Network. Once appointed, two-time elected board member. And I'm sitting here having convulsions and on the edge of tears because I've had this conversation in '96. I was speaking here, right? In '98, the board was raised. And when I sat on the board, when I first was appointed almost 10 years ago, our state monitor came at the same time. We had these conversations, we had things. The thing is that this is a system that was done on purpose. I sat there in convulsions listening to people who have played parts in the evolving of the Asbury Park School District. Mr. Adams, you are exactly correct, it is not your fault, right? It is a system that people play parts in. When you sit up here and you put a fifth grade, and you devolve a school that was working fine, like Thurgood Marshall, and you put the fifth graders into middle school, which at the time was very violent, and people leave and take their kids out. When you take, and the community said, no, don't do it, right? Or when they put 7th and 8th graders in a high school, and the community says, no, don't do it. And when you sit up here and come repeatedly, and the community say, please don't do it, and you don't listen. When we sit up here and we put out initiatives that can actually save, right? What will bring kids back, having something to come back to, right? Something intubated, right? Technology. The school looks the exact same way as 20 years ago when I went here, right? My son, when he graduated here. We can't sit here and have these conversations and say now, oh, let's take it to Trenton, because I was one of those people who picked it and went up to Trenton, right? I'm in Trenton on a regular basis. We need to take it to the municipal building. We need to take it right here. We have to be real about what's happening here, right? Because we're saying all these things, but people were arguing against it when I was saying it almost 10 years ago, that this is going to kill our district, right? When there are people out there throwing out people's votes and casting people aside when they sit up here and say it is time for us to be real about what's happening with our kids. We want real things for our district. We weren't heard. We were kicked out. When I said gentrification comes after the brown people first, right? Brown and black people first, and then it comes out of the wave, the first wave. Don't nobody heard that, right? When we send kids home with packets, right? And poor technology, when we had their money to actually give them something substantial, they're gonna leave, right? One of the mistakes I sit up here and made is as my child suffered through this district, and he suffered when he graduated, and it was his associate. He graduated. When he suffered through this district, right, I shouldn't have let him suffer that much. And what we can sit up here and say is that y'all have responsibilities. Y'all have responsibilities, and this is a plan.
And I'm gonna be loud, because there's another time where I'm gonna come back, because it's hard for me to come up to these meetings. But the one person, when I put my little nieces in this district, that came from severe trauma, the one person that helped, y'all are putting on the operating block. This is disrespectful, and I'm gonna leave, and I'm gonna sit down, right, because I know my time is up. But again, don't act like this isn't a plan. Don't act like when the art system, when the art plan and has the high school on the front as a place to put the art center in, right? Come on now. Come on now.
Can you hear me now? Yeah. My name is Jess. I have been staying close to the Asbury Park High School. Is it out? Okay. My name is Jess. I have been staying close to the Asbury Park High School. First, work is to come to the many families. I met this teacher at second grade. She was helping me with English and math. And this was my first day there. This teacher has been here for many elements, especially now. Since COVID has hit a lot of us, my family has lost their job. So COVID. She helped my family find jobs, including me. My family has a restaurant and she got their place at the restaurant there. Not only Haitian community needs her, everyone needs her because she is caring, helpful. And the Spanish community needs her too, in the Americans. She's good at the position. We deserve to stay at the position because the Haitian community needs her. Because she's helping us with everything we need. Because everything my parents need, she'd be there to have them with them. We want me to deserve to stay out of the position. Because she's always let my parents know what's going on around the Asbury Park High School, around all the districts. So we want her to stay because we want her to take her position. This one,
hello guys, my name is Sheila here. I'm from 518, so last week for the next 3 weeks, and then I'm going up to. For those of you that don't know me, I sat in that position, the president of the board, right before this current the president. And I know that the board's position on personnel, they don't have a lot of control. I'm here to talk about something that's not on the agenda, although she was told that she was going to be nominated as of April 21st, which is not on tonight's agenda. Also, what you have to know about me is I run a school district, I run a small daycare. And I'm responsible for 10 to 15 children a year to the school district. I've been open 11 years. So if you do the math, I'm responsible for about 10% of the current school district. I'm here to talk on behalf of two people that are going to not be in their position. Mary Maria Ross has worked diligently. You can just look on her social media for that. So to say that she's not performing in her job duties, right? You have to be gone. And this would be the second, third, fourth, fifth time that we don't listen to the community. Because although you can pencil with somebody while you're supervising them, you can give them all kinds of bad scores. If you step out of the school and talk to anybody in the community, you know that she's doing her job, which she was doing without a supervisor for years, efficiently. Furthermore, I want to speak on behalf of the Swansea. Our families don't understand IT. They're very complicated. When you're a non-English speaker, this is your first time in America, and somebody else is trying to translate for you, something for you, they're not a social worker, or their primary language is not Creole, you don't understand what's going on with your small child that needs help. So to get rid of two pitiful people in the Haitian community, it feels like we're under attack. It feels like we're disrespectful. We are starting to check how the population is. If you want more people to do it, continue to do it, continue to do it. Thank you so very much. First off, it feels like we're recording. All things aside is that Miss Lazier, she's an amazing person.
My dear, what is your name?
My name is Asbury. I used to be in the Asbury Park Middle School also. But I want to talk about, because she has been very helpful to a lot of people and their families. And she not only helps the Haitian community in translating, but she helps a lot of people also. She feels like a second mother to most of us because everything that goes on around in the community that some parents might not know about, even though there's like flowers, and like stuff going around, she always calls and stuff like that. Like sometimes, in the middle of the night, she would even like call my mom and be like, and ask my mom, are you aware of like this and that's going on in the school and stuff like that? And she's a very incredible person. She feels like a second mother to me personally, like this for me. She feels like a second mother to me because she's just so nice and she's very helpful and everything that goes around. There's this thing called Asbury Park Valley, and I didn't even know I had some talents, and she told me that she wanted me to go in it, and I didn't even know, and I won first place 2 times. First place 2 times because of her, and the second time, and it took place this Saturday also, the second time that I went, and I wasn't even gonna go. If she didn't tell me that I had this and that I had to go, that she believed in me. She is an amazing person. She doesn't only help out the Asian community, but she helps out other communities also, because she works with most of the kids, and my little baby brother, he's about to be 5, and he goes to this school, and he's in preschool, about to go to kindergarten, and there's something called like the special child study team or something like that, and she is the one that calls us every single time to keep us up to date with like the school things and stuff like that that's going on for him. A lot of people and a lot of parents don't let their kids go to the Asbury Park High School and stuff like that, but my mom, she wasn't even gonna let my baby go to school. She was like, she didn't really believe it or stuff like that. And Miss Lazier was like, no, it's really a good school. You should be like let him try out and stuff like that. So that's what made her decided to bring him to the school. Another thing is that I like later on I was sitting down, listening to you guys talk about like how blah 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 stuff like this and stuff like that. I personally feel like it's not fair to like some of like the teachers and like some of like the people from like the different communities and stuff like that has been like helping out for years, and even because of this or that reason that they have to go just because of that. Because teachers, they do have 2 lives as a teacher and as their own life also, and a lot of teachers, they put up with like a lot of students like tests and stuff like that. And she has her own family and stuff like that, and she would take time out of her day to always make sure that everything is going to day and everything is going to plan. Like Shayla, her cousin said about one of her social media, you would see like everything that's going around like in the community and the events and stuff like that. She would always have them posted in her social media. She would always have the pictures, the videos of blah blah blah, this and that. And she is just an amazing person. There's just so much. And I would really hate it if she actually had to leave, because she not only translates for us, she helps other people also, and it just wouldn't really, it wouldn't make sense to me, and it wouldn't be fair, because she has helped a lot of people. And just letting her go after like all the years and the stuff she has done and all the work she has worked with like the kids and the people is really not fair, and I feel like it's just disgusting and disrespectful, because she loves to help people and she loves her job, and just telling her, oh, goodbye, just because of this reason, blah, 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 is really not fair, because she translates for people, she, asks people when they need help. Like sometimes, I'm sorry, time is over, but one thing. Sometimes, this and that might not be going to plan, but she's always calling you and be like, yo, do you know about this email, blah, 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 blah. If you don't have time, look, I'm gonna make sure you go to this, I'm gonna make sure you go to that, so I feel like it's not fair and stuff like that.
Hello, hi, my name is Soledad. I am here to discuss something that is not on the agenda, not sure why it was not. I'm sorry? You can't hear me? How about now? Okay, hi, yes, I'm here to talk about something that was not on the agenda, not sure why it wasn't. But just a fun fact, Asbury Park has the 6th largest Haitian community in the state. And this is by number, not percentage. So please keep in mind that we are smaller than the other, a lot smaller, I should say, than the other 5 cities before us. The Asbury Park student body is about 30% Haitian and about 40% Hispanic. As a Haitian woman that went to Asbury Park schools from pre-K all the way through 12th grade, I know the struggles all too well when immigrant parents, mom back there, have difficulty with understanding the U.S. school system. I understand the importance of having someone who empathizes with you being in a position to assist you. I have witnessed with my own 2 eyeballs Ms. Lazaire sacrifice her weekends that I'm sure she was not paid for to attend events, recruit for pre-K, and go out of her way after work to my daughter's daycare to speak with the Hispanic and Latino parents that I brought here today, to recruit them for pre-K and pretty much assist them all across the board. I have seen her posts on social media. I have listened to her radio interviews, and I do not understand how communities that make up about 70% of the student body is being left without representation. Makes no sense to me. The work that is needed to be done to help the Haitian and Hispanic students do not end in the schools. It must involve the entire community. It's not something that, okay, just go talk to such and such down in office, wherever. It must involve the community, like a community specialist. And I absolutely can say Ms. Lazaire has done an absolutely phenomenal job. As a Haitian woman, and Hispanic parent standing beside me concurs and agrees. I absolutely will restate what Ms. Etienne stated. I absolutely feel like we are under attack. I don't know what this is about, but it needs to stop. Because it's absolutely disgusting and reflects very poorly on Asbury Park. Thank you.
I just want to mention, I know I've been working at daycare, small daycare serves, Asian community, Black community, and Mexican community. I just want to, let you guys know that Ms. Serving going to the daycare to kind of help us out to get pre-K and all of that involved. And firstly, she'll be going to the daycare early in the morning, to post any registrations that they have, and she be keeping in contact with the staff, who is in charge of the parent enrollment in our daycare, and she goes back and forth to help, with Spanish speakers. So, I know that it's probably a decision that has been made, but I don't think it's fair. I think she's been doing a great job. I've been seeing a lot of posters, pictures, and I've been seeing her trying to get involved in the community. She worked with me last year. She was in our graduation to kind of get more parents. And, I guess I'm here to support her and to guys let you know that she's been doing a great, great job. And I'll be part of that job. And she's trying to keep in contact with us, to keep her job going. And I didn't even know that it was like I got talent going on until I saw her posting all those things. But I hope you guys make a good decision, and just want to know that I'm thankful for her, that she's really helping our community. But thank you.
Good evening. I am Angel Camus, bilingual ESL teacher in Asbury Park over 40 years, and I'm here to translate with this mother that has concern about a position that is being eliminated.
Mi nombre es Mayali Morales, tengo un hijo en la high school y uno en la middle school.
She has a child in the high school and one in the middle school.
Estamos aquí para apoyar a Mary, para que no pierda su trabajo, ya que hace poco tiempo se me ha quemado mi casa y desde ese tiempo para acá ella me ha ayudado bastante. Sé que es un poco difícil, siempre ha estado ahí, me ha estado ayudando para transportar a mis hijos, siempre se está comunicando si todo está bien o cosas así, y es una gran ayuda para los haitianos y la comunidad hispana, y muchas gracias, Mary, por todo lo que ha hecho conmigo.
Marilyn this year has been a fantastic, awesome help to the Hispanic and Asian community. She has been in a very, or she still is in a very bad situation with the house burned. And she has been a tremendous help being there for her in whatever necessity she needs for her or the children. She also wants to see this loss in the district because of how helpful she is and she has been through the years to the community. One of the child standing right over here, and actually I have known her for many years and I have nothing to say but good things about her for what she has done for the community and for the children that we care about. And that's what we're here for, our children. We bring it up, but then we have this kind of cuts. And I understand some of the cuts from the state and so on, but I think there are ways to work it out. And I'm only speaking for what you spoke to me before. I know it has a little bit of nervousness to take the mic and speak, so I'm recalling some of the information that you have shared, and I'm writing it down on a piece of paper. Thank you for listening.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Barbara Council. I live at 302 Third Avenue, and in Park, New Jersey. I used to sit on the board with Felicia. And I'm here on Senator Marshall, one of my favorites. And I want to bring two students up here that she helped through the year. The reason why I'm bringing these two students up is I want to put a face to the students that she helped. My son, Mari, and Joselito. Consider her now. She's a big help in this district. When my mom passed away last year, she was there with me and my son. She came to the funeral, and I get emotional because this is going to be a great loss to this district if you let her go. And you see these two young men here. And Dr. Adams, do you know their names? This is a Martin. And this is Joselito. And you said that you wanted parents to go, you determined? All of us. You need to build a rapport with the parents in this district. Because there's no rapport with the parents. It needs to start with you, Dr. Adams. You're the head. And this district runs like the hospital. Who runs the hospital? The nurses, right? The teachers run the district. While you sit up here on 4th Avenue in your office, the teachers, social workers, principals run this district. And I refuse to sit up here and let you make a mistake that will hinder some of these kids. Do you know suicide started at 10? Do research. Suicide started at 10. 12, he's going to be 13 soon. They need someone to talk to. If Ms. Marshall's not there for them to talk to, who they gonna go to? If the principal is busy, who they gonna go to? So I need you to reconsider her position. I'm begging you. I stood up here last week, I'm begging you. And Ms. Ball, you said about jobs, you hear me tired of talking about people talking about jobs and jobs and jobs. That's an issue. Because they're letting people go who helped this community a great deal, who's been in this issue for 20 years. So he ain't no job. Well, it's disrespectful to risk someone twice. You need to reconsider. You really do. Because September, it's not going to look good for the district. And then you say kids are going to charter schools? Kids are going to charter school because they have no faith in this district anymore. That's why kids are going to charter school.
Bonsoir. Moi, c'est
Good evening. Good evening, Amina.
parce que je n'ai pas parlé.
Does not speak English, so she needs a translator. Mike. Does not speak English, so she needs a translator.
Moi, je vais parler spécialement concernant Miss Lisière dans la communauté, comment lui aider nous toutes dans la communauté, non seulement ici, mais notre nation.
She wants to speak specifically on behalf of this year and how she engages the community, helps the community. Not just the Haitian people, but the Spanish people too.
Nous toujours là pour aider, pour aider nous mettre à comptement l'hôpital, nous sommes pour mettre à comptement, c'est un live.
She helps a lot with making appointments for hospitals and visits for their children.
Nous toujours relais pour connaître comment dans la communauté, inviter dans tout ça qu'a fait dans la communauté.
She always calls and makes sure that they know about community activities so that she can keep the community engaged.
And then, nous parlons bien de nous-mêmes, nous faisons participer dans parents.
She said because of Ms. Lazier, she has been able to participate in PTO and other parent programs.
And then, moi, j'ai gagné 2 petits dans l'école Asbury, moi, j'ai retiré, peut-être bien plus comme ça.
She has 3 children total. She had 2 in the Asbury Park district and she removed them. There's a lot of people that know that.
Moi, j'ai gagné her business. C'est pas le lien de lui-même qui fait lui dans l'école Bois-Clé.
Her 3rd child is in the school district because Ms. Lazier has taught her into putting her in the school district. He is a special needs child.
Aidez-moi tout, à chercher ça, et then fais-moi rencontrer avec mon responsable, habitat, coastal, community.
She has helped her looking for housing and has introduced her to the people from Habitat, from Coastal Habitat for Humanity.
Lui aidez ma fille avec, moi j'ai 2 garçons, ma fille qui s'est assise pour se parler là, lui représenter notre 2e maman pour lui, parce que dans toute activité, lui inviter.
She has 2 sons, 1 daughter. Her daughter just spoke. She's like a second mother for her because she keeps her daughter engaged and out of trouble.
Moi-même, ça que le conseil que moi capable nous, si nous t'acquittons aller, possible pour nous capable de faire. Les élèves français, les parents haïtiens spécialement et de notre Spanish, c'est pas le lien de Miss Lisière.
She said the only advice she has for you is that if you let Ms. Lazier go, there's the potential of losing a lot of students because Ms. Lazier herself uses them in the district.
Conseil femme, monsieur Ténou, que nous
Her suggestion is that you keep Ms. Lazier please.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Cynthia Foster, resident of Asbury Park, and Happy Teachers Appreciation Week. So I came up tonight to speak to how do we get our students back into this district. I heard you guys compare Asbury Park School District to the charter schools about how we do not have the marketing that they have, or what, 1.33 million or whatever the figure was that was thrown out. But Asbury Park is 1 square mile. 1 square mile. Word of mouth is the only type of marketing you need in this community to bring your students back to the school. However, the word of mouth that is received of Asbury Park School District right now is that it is not the place to send your kids. I have taken my child out of the school district twice now. The first time, I took her out and I sent her to a charter school. Brought her back because I was under the impression that things would change, things were better, and that she would be receiving the services that she needed, as well as the supports that were promised to her upon bringing her back to the school. I then had to take her out of the school district again when I found out that you did not have the resources that you told me that you did have to provide my child. And then with the situation ongoing with my daughter, there has been instances where I've been lied to. There has been instances where administration has promised me that they will handle it personally, yet I have not heard anything from them in 2 months. The lack of documentation and communication. So all of those things combined will make a parent not give referral to a parent like, oh my God, Asbury Park is the place where you should bring your child. If anything, if you have close relatives or close friends, you will shy them away from coming to this district if you know that their child needs certain services because we do not have them here. Like I said before, I was born and raised in Asbury Park, and I spent most of my academic years here. This was not the Asbury Park that I remember. The students and the teachers had a rapport, and then not only that, we had a rapport, the students, the teachers, administration all had a rapport with the community. There hasn't been any technical collaboration or that I know of between the school district and the community, as well as all of the local organizations that we have are kind of shunned away as if the administration that we have here now wants to be, I guess, the hero or the one who wears the cape, the one who does it all for the students to make it become a success. When we all know that it takes a village to raise these children, it takes a village for them to be successful, and you don't need marketing. You just need word of mouth. And in order to get word of mouth, there's a lot that you need to pull together in this district.
Hello, my name is Alexis. I'm a little I wanted to say I did not want to really lost her job because she been helping me out a lot with assistant people a lot. And one time my sister came out and she had me dentist appointment and helped with one of my family members. She was very, my house got burned fire and she bought things for us. She was giving money off her pocket, and she bought license for us, and we were so happy and thankful for her. So one of the things is, has
Good evening, Madam President. My name is Stephanie Kelly. I'm a resident of Burke Township. I've been a special education teacher for 20 years here in Asbury Park. I'm also the APA grievance chair. I'm here this evening to remind the Board of Education and the community of how much time and money has been spent on unnecessary grievances. In the past 18 months, the APA has filed and settled well over 40 grievances. The violations of our district policies and our APA contract continue. Our staff is targeted and retaliated against through the use of invalid letters of reprimand, accusations of insubordination, accusations of tone of decency, accusations of conduct unbecoming, and downright illegal increment withholdings based on faulty evaluations. Have correct evaluations procedures been followed? We know our staff hasn't been properly trained in their board-approved evaluation rubric because the administrators who were supposed to train them were using both the 2013 and 2023 Danielson rubric, and those two rubrics are completely different. Some people on that list have never been evaluated using this rubric at all. How can you withhold increments when your administration isn't following basic procedures mandated by law to evaluate staff? Board of Education, I ask you, before you agree to withhold the increments of your staff, let us wait until all staff, including administration, are properly trained to evaluate staff, and staff are aware of the rubrics that will hold them accountable. I'm asking you this evening to hold off the approving of withholding of increments tonight. Please, think about it. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Donna Ellison. My name is Donna Ellison, school psychologist. I'm a child 17 here at Asbury Park School District. John is not on the line tonight, it might be tomorrow. I wasn't going to speak tonight. I came to support people that I've worked with for the last 17 years. People who have been dedicated to our children. Our children here on time. Every single year, I have gone to a funeral for one of my students. And I have sat next to Miss Marshall. I have sat next to Miss Sanders. Our children are dying. They come here hungry, hurting, abused, witnessing domestic violence, witnessing being the victims of violence, traumatized, and to get rid of a social worker when mental health is such an issue, and our kids need every support they can have to just stay alive. Algebra 2 doesn't matter when you've been up all night, hungry, and worried if your mother is going to be alive in the morning. Who support those families. I've sat at tables with Miss Marshall and agonized over how to help a kid with our very limited resources in this district. And she's been the one to come up with creative ways of helping their special needs. She works with our kids, not just Haitian kids, kids of all nationalities, of all ethnic backgrounds. And she's been dedicated and followed them through to the high school where I sit and been a resource for me. I've gone to Miss Sanders with children who are living in a car, whose parents are incarcerated. And we've gotten them food, and we've gotten them showers, and we've gotten them shelter. She's the one who knows every resource in the community. To eliminate her position is criminal. Our children look for her. Most people don't even know what she does in the building, but our kids do. And those are the people we need supporting these kids. If we don't want to lose them to another district or lose them to another death, you need these people. You need these people to provide the support, the counseling, and the foundation that they provide every single day. You may think that positions are not necessary because they don't fit nicely into a budget, but they're saving lives.
Good evening, Madam Secretary. My name is Danielle Petrucci. I'm a resident of Middletown, and I'm a learning disability teacher consultant on the Child Study Team in Asbury Park Schools. I am also the APA Executive Secretary. So here we are again, 18 days later, and again, the agenda includes the elimination of critical positions we need in order to operate the district and support our children. A Director of Student Services, a Security Manager, Special Education and Instructional Coaches, Health and Safety Services Coordinators, Library Media Specialists, Teachers, Happy Teacher Appreciation, Security Guards and Custodians. And yet again, hidden just below the list of risks on the agenda includes the termination due to reduction in force of our bilingual Haitian Creole speaking social worker, Ms. Cassandra Marshall. Please
refer to item 2A, where her employee ID number is listed. Just to remind everyone, this employee has a name. It's Cassandra Marshall. She's a social worker, our only Haitian Creole speaking child study team member, a child study team case manager, a counselor, the only social worker who's here in the summer, a crisis response team member, an INRS team member, a member of the suicide response team, an Asbury Park native, and an employee of Asbury Park Schools for over 20 years. She has been the person that parents trust and rely on for their well-being and academic support through the years. She has been the shoulder to cry on and the hand to hold when our parents have been told, your child has a disability. She is often the sole resource when families request guidance, especially our Haitian families. Her removal from this district is not in the best interest of our students. It's not just about a job. As a child study team member, I can tell you firsthand how overwhelmed we are right now because we are short-staffed. I, along with my other colleagues and the APA executive team, have pleaded with administration and stressed the impact of cutting these positions this last year. We lost 2 psychologists due to retirement and resignation. Those 2 in the last 2 years, and they have not been replaced. But 3 supervisors have resigned in the last year, and they were all replaced. And 2 new directors were also added in the last year. The needs of our students don't go away because we don't have enough support on our team. They don't go away when we add more administrative positions. The caseload, evaluation, student needs have increased to an overwhelming level for the remaining child study team members. The loss of Ms. Marshall would be catastrophic to this child study team and directly impact the support of our students. The number of children coming into the district through early intervention continues to increase, and we are still addressing the learning loss and emotional health concerns due to the pandemic. This increase was evident last year, and we warned you all of this issue. We need to support our children's mental health, and social workers are at the front lines. Currently, we have students on a wait list to receive in-school counseling through YMCA because there's not enough staff, and the elimination of another counselor would further limit the accessibility of mental health support. I beg you to please reconsider the decision to terminate Ms. Marshall from our child study team. I urge you to consider the impact of what Ms. Marshall's presence in this district means to our students. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Christine Marcos. I'm here from New Jersey. I've been a teacher at Asbury Park High School. I've been here since 2005. I'm here talking about my concern about the abolishment of our social worker and social workers and any social emotional staff in our district. As Mr. Hamilton said, we're living in a time right now post-pandemic when mental health is an issue for it's nationwide, it's not just Asbury. Although Asbury Park is a trauma-filled community, and getting rid of social emotional support staff and programs is detrimental to the education of our students. We cannot teach algebra, English, until our students have their social emotional needs met. And they need food, and the social workers are the bridge between the teachers and the community. Ms. Sanders and I, she's a pillar of our Asbury Park community, Asbury Park family. We became friends because as a teacher, students come to me and they talk to me, and I can always go to Ms. Sanders. She is the bridge between our students and the community. The social workers save the lives of our students, and getting rid of them would be actually getting rid of our students. We live in a place where we have, Ms. Sanders, I know, as a social worker in our school, she coordinates the health crisis response team. She does social suicide prevention, intervention. She also facilitates programs such as pregnancy prevention, grief counseling. She started Challenge Day in our school years ago, and so many other programs that have been a positive impact on our students and have actually created leaders in our community right now because she's been in our district for 23 years. Getting rid of her is going to be detrimental to our community, and we need to utilize our sources, and we cannot steal programs in order to save money, because it's about our students' health, it's about our students' mental health, and it's about promoting success in our community. And the only way to combat generational poverty or trauma is to support and keep
our social, emotional staff, and the programs that feed our students and help them thrive in this community. I love Asbury Park. I've been here for years. Ms. Sanders, Ms. Marshall, everyone who's on the chopping block, who's been here, we are Asbury Park. We are the community, and we love our students. Thank you.
Hello. My name is Emily Whitford. I'm a resident of Union County and a speech language pathologist on the Related Services team. I'm here to urge you to save Cassandra Marshall's position as social worker. Cassandra has dedicated 21 years to the students and families of Asbury Park and has done so with a passion that is admirable, I can speak loud. Last week, we celebrated teachers for Teacher Appreciation. I couldn't help but feel sick because we say thank you to our staff, but we discard them at a rate that is insurmountable and detrimental to the success of our students. May is Mental Health Awareness Month. In a time where students are experiencing trauma and mental health crises, we cannot afford to lose another counselor in Mrs. Marshall. According to the CDC, more than 4 in 10 students in the U.S. felt persistently sad or hopeless. Nearly 1/3 experience poor mental health, and more than 10% of students seriously considered suicide. According to NewJersey.gov, a 2021 report from the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Service Administration revealed that common diagnoses for children aged 3 to 17 include ADHD, behavioral conduct problems, anxiety, and depression. They also state that schools are in a distinct position to A, recognize early signs of mental, behavioral, and developmental disorders, B, provide social emotional support services, and C, foster the skills necessary to address challenges during the adolescent years. And in doing so, schools can contribute to the overall emotional, social, and academic success of each student, end quote. Ironically, May is also Haitian Heritage Month. Yes. The elimination of multilingual staff, specifically our only Haitian Creole-speaking social worker, limits opportunities to appropriately assess or intervene with our non-English speaking students and their families. Since the return of full-time in-person instruction, we have seen an increase in working with students with grief, anxiety, depression, attention, and inappropriate behaviors. Social workers like Ms. Marshall are the first individuals in the buildings that teachers and administration reach out to in order to deal with crisis situations or chronic social and behavioral issues. She understands the cultural nuances and family dynamics that affect the way Haitian students experience trauma. There's a level of cultural competence that needs to be maintained in order to appropriately assist these families whose cultural dynamics have an impact on the students' development and or experiences. These Haitian students and families have made connections and are comfortable with Ms. Marshall, who is charged with counseling and managing their children's caseload. We often talk about accountability and the betterment of our students of Asbury Park. Yet sometimes our actions go against our words. It's the actions that are important. There's a Haitian proverb and it says, "Sao fait anyway." What you do is what you see. In other words, what we see in life is a result of our own actions. It's almost like saying what you reap is what you sow. So I'm asking you tonight to put your words of accountability and betterment to action and your actions to power. Vote to keep our essential staff members, and please vote no on item 2A of D1. Our students and their families deserve better. And I just want to give a quick comment we are here for our students. We fight for our students. I stood here last year and I begged and I pleaded with this board and I explained to them the backlog of students that are going to need services, and we still got rid of speech therapists. So to be told that we're only here fighting for a job, no. We're here fighting for our students. And I resent the statement that we don't.
Okay, at this time, I'll close public participation.
Asbury Marshall, and a former graduate of Asbury Park High School in 1982. I began my employment with the district on February 13, 2023, as a rehab. I was extremely excited to begin working in this role as I had previously worked as a paraprofessional here in the Asbury Park School District for 16 years before my position was eliminated in reduction in force back in 2017. I've been working in the profession providing care for children for over 21 years. Prior to becoming a paraprofessional, I owned a child care business for 10 years. This profession is my life. I have always had a heart to serve in the capacity of caring for children. To that end, I was extremely devastated when I received a letter dated April 5th, 2023, that I was terminated from my position as a paraprofessional signed by Dr. Rashawn Adams. I was completely in shock because I couldn't understand why I was being terminated from my role. Additionally, the letter did not provide any cause for termination. During the days of me working, I had no work performance issues brought to my attention while I was there. I continued to ponder on what could have occurred, but I couldn't think of any situation or incident that could have led to my dismissal. On April the 17th, I went to the Board of Education to meet with Human Resources to ask them what had happened, and why I was being terminated. I spoke to Dr. Shauna Gibson, the Director of Human Resources. Unfortunately, she was abrupt and informed me and let me know that it was due to my work performance. I asked if she could provide me with further information to include details regarding the work performance that led to my dismissal. So please know that I understand that employment is an at-will, and that New Jersey is an at-will state, means either party can terminate the work relationship at any time. However, after speaking with my counsel, I was informed that since Dr. Gibson stated that this was in regards to my work performance, that she opened the door for me to inquire further. I would like to know what actually occurred that led to my termination. I can only assume at this point that my termination had something to do with my workman comp case that was filed on February 24, 2023, which I was on the playground with the children and fell down and hurt my left knee. I've been in physical therapy since then. I'm requesting that the board discuss matters pertaining to my employment. And lastly, I'd like to note that I have not even taken any days off after fall. I was at work every single day. I would be extremely appreciative if the board would reconsider my termination of employment. Thank you.
President. My name is Sheldon Sanders, and I am the Health and Social Service Coordinator at Asbury Park High School. Some of you know me, some of you don't. I have been the Health and Social Services Coordinator at Asbury Park High School for the last 23 years, where I have given my all to the students and families of Asbury Park, providing counseling, support, and referrals. I've assisted students experiencing homelessness, the effects of trauma, gender identity issues, and abuse, among other issues. In response to the needs of our students, I have implemented the Teen Parenting Program, a peer mediation program, and the Student Mentoring Program. I've cultivated collaborative relationships with the Central Jersey Family Health Consortium, the Community YMCA, Wellspring Center for Prevention, Empower Somerset, the Center for Great Expectations, and the Mental Health Association of Monmouth County to bring needed services and programs to our students. I've helped develop policies and procedures for Section 504, IMRS, pregnant and parenting students, and crisis response. I am the one that Dr. Howard Morris calls at night or on the weekends when there is a traumatic event that impacts our staff and students, so that I can coordinate not only the high school team where I am located, but so I can also assist with mobilization and coordination of the teams in the other buildings, so that I can provide support to those teams. I'm not sure if everyone knows this, but there was a 4 or 5 year period where we lost a student every single year. And I, along with my fellow crisis response team members, was on the front line for days, assisting students and staff to manage their feelings regarding those traumatic events. Currently, I am coordinating 4 youth development / SEL programs at the high school and 1 at the upper elementary school, where I am not housed, but I became aware of a program that would help those students and reached out to Ms. Cassandra Marshall to say to her, I'm aware of a program. Do you think that your girl could benefit from it? We sat in on that program last week with approximately 12 young ladies in grades 4 through 6, and it was astounding how at the first session they opened up and they shared, and it was obvious that that program was so needed for those students. I provided support to students and families in their homes, at the grocery store, at the mall, and the laundromat. I have so often assisted families outside of school that my own child sometimes felt slighted. I provide suicide risk assessments for our students, and on more than one occasion, I have sat in crisis with a student and their parent as they went through the process of being evaluated. As other people have said before you, we are in a mental health crisis right now. And letting go of people who can provide emotional and mental health support to our students is not the right way to go. Thank you.
I'm Liz Homer. I live in West Long Branch, and I am a paraprofessional here at Bradley Elementary. I'm here to talk about security. At a time where we should be adding security staff, we are now cutting. Why are we not taking into consideration the lives of our students and staff? Please don't think a mass shooting can't happen here. Do you think that the parents, teachers, and students in Uvalde, Texas, or Nashville, Tennessee thought it would happen in their school? In an America where we have 200 mass shootings and 2 school shootings since January, we are all vulnerable. It absolutely boggles my mind that it's even a consideration to get rid of any security instead of hiring more. What is most important to you? The lives of the students and staff are most important to me. My life is important to me. I am not ignorant to the fact that there are people who could easily get into our schools and cause harm to us. Let's make the right choice for our district, for our students, for our staff, or our lives. Don't cut essential workers while risking the lives of everyone else.
Hi, my name is Carol Sanders. I'm part of the community. I love my events because it was so important to get here. Asbury Park would always be my first love. Mr. Jordan is the reason why I'm the woman I am today, while my children are the people who are here today. I think we should keep Mr. Jordan because he changed my life. Being in Asbury Park School, talking to me, letting me know that I'm loved, letting me know that sky's the limit, you can do whatever you want to do. He's not just a security guard, but he's someone you can talk to, because you have to realize some of these kids don't want to go home or not happy at home, but coming to school make it easy with these lovely teachers, as I see right here today, that care. When I went to school in the 80s, and I want to make Asbury Park great again. And we need you guys to understand what these people are saying here, what Mr. Jordan has done for me. Right now, my son works for the Fed right now. I would never believe that in a million years, but with this man directing me and telling me how to be an upstanding citizen, I taught my children that. The point is, Asbury is the people that care and that love the community and love being who they are, these teachers here. Now, we can either let teachers go that care and bring people in here that don't care about our kids and let it get worse. I let my event to get here because it was important, so you can see that it is people in the community that do care. My daughter works in the medical field. My 15-year-old daughter plays basketball. I want to come talk to you guys like I did in Neptune to get a basketball program started for these girls and these boys so they can stay off the street and realize they got people like me and Mr. Jordan that care. I just want you to see these people here. I listen to them. I see how it was like in the 80s, how they cared about us. And how they tell us that, you know, we're someone special. That is so important. Because some of y'all get to go moon in your big pretty house, but some of us don't. You know? A lot of kids don't want to tell about what's going on in their personal life at home. But you know, I look around and I see these teachers here. This reminds me so much of Miss 80s. This lady right here, my daughter went to college. My firstborn went to college, and she came to my house every day to teach my daughter, to show her, because it was overwhelmed. Now I got to make it to college. But I promised my mother that my children will, and this lady came over every day to my house. I didn't know, but my daughter, she's amazing right now. Let's make Asbury Park great again. Let's get these students back staying in school and off the streets. Let's figure out a plan. If you don't have the budget, then let's figure out how we can raise the money like we used to do in the 80s. Right? 70s, well, I'm the 80s. I'm, you know, the 80s. You know? Listen, so I understand the budget, and everybody keeps talking about the budget. But back then, we figure out how we can fix the budget, how we can raise, how we can make stuff, and we can get the community back together like it was. I'm already doing it for Neptune right now. I came to a basketball game to see how the girls play, to see how I can figure out how I can help them out. Yes?
Sorry. 3 minutes ago.
Oh, God. All right, that's fine. But you guys will be seeing me, because I got plans for Asbury, just like I got plans for Neptune. We're going to make Asbury and Neptune great again. Thank you, guys. Keep doing your good job.
Good evening.
I'll be back.
My name is Meg Watkins. I am a special education teacher here in the district. And I've been in the district for just about 20 years now. I have had the wonderful opportunity to work with many administrators and co-workers. I have seen them come and I've seen them go. I'd like, though, to address several issues. I don't want to reiterate a lot of things, but I just want to go over them. As for the issue of loss of students to charter schools, I absolutely agree. I understand how many we have lost over the years. And it proves me because we have the highly qualified staff and personnel here that can meet the needs of our students. But I've seen some lack of initiatives by our district to actively pursue to bring them back, to go out and ask why are you leaving? What is it that we can do to make you want to be back here? Just as we've lost our students, we've also lost dedicated, caring, concerned educators. We have lacked adequate materials to teach the children. We have changed our curriculum in 20 years. I can't even tell you how many times. And we never give it a chance to see what the final outcome would be. How are they going to, what can we see in 5 years? What success rate are we going to see with that one program? And I have yet to see one yet go through, to follow through for at least 5 years. I think if we did that, I don't think we would see the struggles that we do. I don't think it would be as great. I also have concern about losing our highly trained and credentialed security, Louis Jordan. I've had the pleasure personally to work with him. He has personally had me go on the website for the government to do training, to be certified for crisis management. And he has, since I've seen arrived, he has implemented many emergency services that we have now, addressing issues, safety concerns, have trained our personnel, and make sure that they are following through the security officer, doing their job to make us, not just teachers, not just administrators, but our students feel safe. Not only we're losing the head of security, but we have student services and staff to make up. Staff, that is very, very important. I know they've said about the statistics about depression and the loss of life. And I have been in every single school. We need to come together as a team. We need to sit down together, administrators and teachers and educators, and look at who we have, who is here, and address the concerns and work together to build the community that we want. We need to, instead of going on losses, we need to make it a big win. I ask you to consider that. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Michael Zajac. I'm the Dean of Students at Asbury Park High School. I'm also the Asbury Park Education Association Vice President. I have a statement to make here. Good evening, Madam President and members of the board. I'm here tonight to bring light to an issue that has been disturbing to the staff and students of the Asbury Park High School. The issue revolves around the current athletic director and his behaviors towards the staff and students. Back in February, there were a series of issues between students and the athletic director. One issue involved comments made towards a student about her family's financial status and living conditions. The athletic director flashed a money roll and told the student he had more money than her family. The issue was reported by the student, her parent, and staff. Was this investigated? Were staff members questioned? Asked to give a statement? Nope, nothing happened. There were no interviews, questions, or statements made. Another issue occurred when the athletic director and a student had a heated verbal exchange, and the athletic director expressed to the young man he should have his father come in and perform oral sex on him if he even has a father. While all this is extremely disturbing, the biggest disappointment is the lack of investigation in each of these incidents. There were emails sent to offer details of these situations because the staff members who witnessed these exchanges were doing their professional obligation to protect the students. And what happened? Nothing. No reprimand, no investigation, nothing. What are we teaching here? The message is crystal clear. If you're a Dr. Adams crony, not only can you speak to the students and staff in any manner, you have no worries because he will throw a blind eye to it. And if you don't believe me, ask Dr. Adams to show you his response to the emails pertaining to this matter. You won't find any because they don't exist. The irony is Dr. Adams responds to most emails within minutes. To further prove this point, staff members have received letters of reprimand, low observation scores, and a host of other antagonistic behaviors in connection with this athletic director. Thank you.
Good evening. John Napolitani, Ocean Township. I'm also the Asbury Park Education Association president. In the movie The Perfect Storm, which is based on a true story, they all died on the boat for one reason and one reason only. The captain made poor decisions. I want to thank my team for getting up here tonight, having the guts to get up here in front of this board and speak. I got my Vice President, Mike Zajac, Secretary Danielle Petrucci, Sean Hamilton, our treasurer, and of course our grievance chair, Stephanie Kelly. It's sad as we continue to be up here, but some corrections that I need to make as in regard to what was said earlier. Yes, Ms. Alsbay, I agree with you. We should be up here fighting for our kids, and that's what we do, and that's what the staff did tonight. They're fighting for those services for these kids. Number two, this board did not fight the S2 decision. There are very few of you left up there. But you didn't fight when you had the opportunity. The other thing is, you haven't met with the mayor close to a year. And I just got that from Mayor Moore. And I challenge every board member up here to give Moore a call. Call Byron. We all know John pretty well. John doesn't lie. So I just got a bill from an arbitrator in the amount of $3,800 that gets split between you and me for an arbitration that we didn't even finish because we settled the case. You're passing along $7 million additional to the residents in the city of Asbury Park. We've had over 40 grievances. How much more money in legal have you spent in the last 2 years compared to 5 years ago? Check the legal bills out. And in my other role over in Ocean Township, and everybody knows what it is, I'm up there just like you on the dais. My labor attorney said to me the other day, I'm not spending a lot of money on legal right now. What's going on? You want to know what's going on? I have department heads right now that have strong labor management relations. I have a chief of police that gets along with his PBA president and his state delegate. They sat at a dinner table at my mayor's charity ball this past weekend. I have a township manager that collaborates with his department heads, who wants his department heads and his employees, the rank and file, to work together harmoniously. That's how you get results. That's what makes a district successful, and that's what will make this district come back. It's collaboration. You want the fix? Create the labor management relations the way that it used to be. Thank you.
My name is Kara Conley. I'm from Long Branch, New Jersey, and I am the school counselor at Asbury Elementary School. I stand up here tonight, and I feel that I really should not have to disclose my medical information to the general public. I have MS. It is difficult for me to walk, especially when it is cold and when it is icy. And are you aware that there was, and still is, a trailer sitting out by there for 6 months covering handicap spots? That violates so many federal laws, the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, and the ADA laws of 1990. All right here, there are letters in my file with HR that you requested and I provided, and still you are trying to cap my salary and just really make my life miserable. That is not okay. So I ask you to please really think about that. I put my heart into what I do and I love these children. And it's not okay, and it's not right, and it's federally wrong. Thank you for your support.
I guess at this time, I'll close public participation.
Before now that we've closed, we're really going to exec. But I want to make it clear, if I didn't attack anyone's integrity as an educator, and it's not fair to pick and choose words to entice a crowd. I merely stated what I've noticed the year, 5 months that I've been on this board, is that every time I'm here, I'm hearing about, the issues with personnel. And everyone talks about collaboration and alliances, but not once have I heard someone, unless it was directed to their position, come up and speak until tonight about things that mattered and really, affected the student body. So I'm sorry if you don't comprehend that, but it is the truth. I'm not saying that your jobs aren't important. I'm not saying they're not worth fighting for. But without students, you have no job.
And without staff.
Well, there is no staff without students. Right. So we need the proper programming. How do we align with people about programming if we don't know what the problem is? That's all I'm saying. Thank you.
I have a motion to go.
Can I just make a motion to go to second?
The board is going to retire to close executive session to discuss matters of attorney-client information as well as personnel and ongoing litigation. It's anticipated that the board will be in executive session for approximately 45 minutes to an hour, after which time the board will come out of executive session and return to this room. No formal action will be taken in executive session. Any formal action will be taken out here in public when the board returns.
Okay, we'll try this again. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for your patience. At this time, can we do roll call, please?
Mr. Grillo?
Here.
Dr. Fenda?
Here.
Mr. Remy? Here. Ms. Ricks?
Here.
Mr. Rogers? Here. Ms. Saunders? Here. Ms. Holloway?
Here.
Ms. Cook?
Here.
I've asked for a consent agenda on all items from B1 through B2 number 4.
Move it.
No.
So it's B1 number 1 to B2 number 4. Mr. Grillo?
Okay. So, on B1, number 1, I'm voting yes, except for 1A, numbers 1, 2, 4, and 5. Those are no. And then voting no on 2. That'd be 2, A, B, and C, voting no. And then on B1, number 3, voting yes on all except for letter N and letter H. And I'm voting yes on the reappointment.
Mr. Grillo, the N and H, you said B1 number 3, yes on all except for N and H, or N and H and no?
That's on B2, those are no. Yeah, those are no.
Thank you.
N and H.
Ms. Ricks?
Yes, on all.
Thank you. Dr. Fenda?
Be patient.
That's why I was going to leave it.
On B1 number 1A, it's yes on everything except for A 1, 2, 4, and 5.
1, 2, 4, 5, no.
No. Okay, and B1 number 2, it's no on A, B, and C. And then on number 3, it's yes on everything except for H and N. Those are no's.
H and N as in Mary.
H and N as in Nancy. And then number 4 is yes.
Mr. Remy?
For B1, for B1 section 1 and 2, no. B1 3, yes, and B2 4, no.
Mr. Rogers?
1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 are no.
2, A, B, and C, no. 1, 3. D, H, and K, I, M, R, no. And on the reappointment, there's a person on the reappointment list that I'm going to take off.
Let me just review for you. On D3, G as in George, H, K, I, M as in Mary, are all no. And I'm sorry, on D2, A, B, and C were no.
Yeah, A, B, and C.
Thank you. On number 1, I have number 1A, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, no.
Yes.
And then what about B and C?
There it is.
Mr. Roberts, it's been brought to my attention that the employee about whom you have a question was not issued, did not indicate that he wanted a discussion about him to be done in public. Additionally, it's my understanding that the reappointment list is not broken out in such a way that you could remove certain individuals from it. So my suggestion on the reappointment list would be that you voted either up or down, as there does not appear to be the ability to pull out a specific individual as we sit here.
I'll be the only person, so I'll go with that.
Thank you. Mr. Saunders?
Oh, I'm up?
You're up.
Okay, it's a no, but on everything with the exception. It's a no on everything with the exception of D1, number 3. That's a yes.
So no all except B1, number 3.
Yes.
Thank you. Ms. Olford?
B1, number 1A. Let's see, A1 is a no. 2 is a yes. 3 is a no. 4 is a no. 5 is a no. Six and 7, yes. B1? No. Okay, I see what you're saying. But B, no. All B. C?
We'll get B1, 1C.
1C, yes. So yes. B1, 2, they're all no. 3, they're all yes, except for N and H.
N is in Nancy and H, or
Yes.
no? And 4 was a yes? 4 was a yes. Let's go.
Yes. Yeah, I answered.
So everything is yes, except no on number 1, A, 3, and 5, 2, 8, and 10. And there's no.
I'm sorry, B1, A5. 3, 2, 5, or 3, 5? 3, 4, 5, or 3, 5?
3, 5.
B and C, you said yes? Yes, all recommended.
I want to see your notes.
And so are we taking a half-hour break now?
How's it feel going? How's it feel? Yeah. You're in the same class. Yes.
Thank you for your patience.
These billable hours. These billable hours.
They stopped after 9. All right. Item 1A on page B1. 1A, number 1 is a no, number 2 is a no, number 3 is a no, number 4 is a no, number 5 is a no, number 6 is a yes, number 7 is a yes. B and C under number 1, reduction in force, are yeses. Number 2, A, B, and C are no. Number 3, withholding of increment, H and N as in Nancy are no's. And number 4, reappointment list is yes.
After all that, I could say the other. I'd just like to call the board's attention to, which I know you already know, but the audience as well, that number B1, B2, all of those are in support of what will eventually be voted on tonight, sometime I hope, which is the annual school budget. Now, my understanding of this is, so I'm notifying the board of my intent to review this, take it under advisement. My understanding is that because number 1 and number 2 are in support of the budget itself, it does not necessarily mean, if the budget is passed, that that particular item has to be reduced or eliminated in order to support the budget if the administration, with the recommendation of the superintendent, can find a substitute in a review of the budget that could be placed in place of this. Does everybody follow me? Because I know I'm rambling a little here. In other words, let's take a number, since there's no number 8 under 1, let me
say, if number 8 was listed here and is now being recorded as a no, that position was being used to support the number in the budget as a reduction. If it is the board's intention not to reduce that particular position, it is my understanding that we have to find an amount of money equal to that somewhere in the budget that would do the same thing as that position would do if it were eliminated. Am I confusing everybody? Monetarily, yes.
But not necessarily staff, I'm sorry to cut you off, but not necessarily staff anywhere in the budget.
That's right. So once the budget's voted on, we can clarify that. I will sit down tomorrow with the business administrator, assistant, and superintendent, and anyone that the superintendent wishes to include, and we will review all of these. I will notify the board immediately of whatever decision we make on them. Now, number 3, which is the withholding of increment, I'm notifying the board that I am not reviewing that or changing whatever the board's decision on that is tonight will stay, as far as I am concerned, as the monitor. I will not overrule you on that particular item. Any questions? I think I had.
Question, if you're reviewing those positions, and is there a timeline that we meet with the city and other finance companies?
Yeah, as I mentioned before, and I respect what Mr. Rennie said about it, he didn't think it was too late. It's too late for this budget. The entire state is filing its budget and must file it this week. So, you know, the assumption that maybe there is a possibility, for instance, that mayor or council would meet with the board and even cooperate with the money issue. There's no time before the tax levy has to be struck in order for money to be raised, unless somebody just wants to write out a check for it. We'll send, come on, Joe, go down and get a check. Seriously. So for this year, now, that said, there is nothing that prevents the board along the way, once the budget, and again, Adam, you can correct me. The budget is the budget, but obviously, all throughout the year, you have your ability to approve or not approve certain items in the budget when they come up for approval. So if there was something that the board decided they wanted to forego in lieu of something else, they certainly can do that. So it's not the end of your say in this. You still can come back to Rogers and review it and raise questions and deny, for instance, a purchase order that or a position. There's certainly discussion, positions can even technically, I guess, be eliminated during the year if there is a budgetary issue.
So what you're saying is we need to sharpen our pencils.
Yeah, everybody should, yeah. So, to meet the deadlines, we'll just go ahead with the second part of this, which is the actual approval of the budget itself.
Have a motion for item C1, number 1, through C2, number 5. Moved by Ms. Briggs, second by Ms. Brooks. Questions or comments?
Everything's inside consent, C1 and C3, right? All we heard.
Yes, all items in C agenda. Seeing no questions, Ms. Briggs?
Yes.
Ms. Cook? Mr. Grillo?
Yes. Voting no on C1, C1.
Bennett?
No.
Mr. Remy? No. Mr. Rogers?
No.
Mr. Saunders?
Yes.
Ms. Osberry?
Yes.
So 4 and 4 does not pass.
Well, let me come back. Let me notify the board, I am not taking this under advisement until tomorrow. I'm going to make my decision tonight so that we meet the deadlines that have been established for the district with the state. And I will, at this point, override your vote and pass the budget. On one, yeah. One. I already did that. We're going to do that tomorrow. Any questions? Thank you. I know this has been a difficult process for everybody.
Have a motion to adjourn?
No,